Awesome.
All right, I think we're recording now. Everybody, welcome to the November 6th MakerDAO community meeting, hosted by yours truly. I managed to trick them into hiring me. Haha, I'm now the king of the castle. No, just joking. But yeah, so today on the agenda, we have quite a lot going on this week. We have the Road to Mainnet release, where the team updated the community on the current progress, a bunch of the stuff that's in the pipeline, and all that jazz. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the new CDP portal. We're going to talk about our recent partnership with MedX. I'll talk about what they are a little bit later. And then we also have a special guest, Mr. Aaron Anderson from Tennessee, who was one of the winners of the Status I Am Crypto Life Hackathon with his DaiPOS application, which is really, really cool. He had a chance to demo it for me yesterday, and I think you guys would really like it. He's going to demo it for us a little bit later. So yeah, in the meeting, I think we got Jessica here. She's going to be looking at the chat. If anybody has questions, our format is very, very sort of dialogue-y. We're not a big group, and I think most of the people that end up watching these end up watching the recording, which this is recorded. So feel free to ask any questions. We love answering them. We love educating our community. So please be our guest. So yeah, this week I'm gonna post the link to the Road to Mainnet release. There's a lot of really, really cool things that happened there. So for one, there's going to be a Trail of Bits audit. I think it already launched, and it's going to be the results are going to be in a few weeks. We also announced a bug bounty after the audit is done. They're going to put out a bigger bug bounty for the community to sort of do self-auditing and look for bugs themselves, and that's exciting because bug bounties are a nice way to incentivize open source developers to make some money, right? Or maybe not make some money. Might actually suck for them. Also, the team put out a notice that also in the Road to Mainnet release article that they're going to be opening up a test environment for Black Swan events to also test like global emergency shutdown. Oh, sorry, global emergency shutdown. It's just emergency shutdown now. Used to be global settlement, but it was renamed. So yeah, so they're going to be focusing a lot more on those edge cases, and they're going to be testing the system and I guess stress testing the system as well. But they're going to be talking more about that in future updates. Uh, Also, something I found really, really interesting is that in multi-collateral DAI, there's going to be a upgraded GraphQL API that's backed by Vulkanized DB, and this is really cool for applications that need like real-time sort of low latency data on the system. And what it's going to do is it's basically going to analyze all the information on the smart contracts for the DAI credit system sort of real time, and it's going to make information available in a really, really efficient way. And that's going to be really great for our ecosystem development because, projects, aspiring developers, anybody who's going to be building real products on this stuff is going to have access to that low latency information that's required for financial applications and software. It's really, really important, and I love it. Hey, what's up, Mariana?
Hi guys.
Hey.
Another part of that Medium article was the fact that they are focusing not just on the core contracts, which is what the initial release of multi-collateral DAI on Kovan was about. It was about getting those core contracts out for the community to kind of play around with. But in this sort of next step, they're focusing more on the other two layers, which is the wrote it down here, the sort of UI UX layer, and also the SDKs, the wallets, the sort of middle layer and the third layer, not just the first base contract layer, which is really great. And we saw an example of this in the launch of the new CDP portal this week as well. So we have a lot of news this week. It's really freaking cool. Also, all right, I'm kind of gonna run through these a little bit quicker, but we also have Oracle upgrades. So no longer is every single transaction that's gonna put out an update on the price feed, gonna be an Ethereum transaction, which is like really really costly. Instead, it's gonna first kind of be bundled up using secure scuttlebutt, which is, I encourage you guys to look into that project. It's sort of a peer-to-peer messaging system that is like fully encrypted, and it has a lot of really interesting security properties, and it makes for a really great use case to basically bundle up Oracle updates and make the system a lot more efficient in terms of transaction costs. So Oracle upgrades, woo. Then we also have the DaiJS library upgrade for multi-collateral Dai. There's already a Dai.js library out right now that people can play with, and I've seen workshops put out by the team. It's really, really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. There's going to be a new keeper framework, and then they also announced that, as everybody sort of expected, when multi-collateral Dai releases, there's going to be a sort of 6-month window where anybody with CDPs on the old system can migrate them over. But basically, there's going to be a tool called the Dai Redeemer, and anybody can pretty much use that to migrate over to the multi-collateral Dai version and redeem their old Dai for sort of new Dai. And not 100% sure how it's going to work, but I'm sure we're going to get more details on that in the near future. But yeah, so that's all the stuff in the very most recent update. Did anybody get a chance to check out the new CDP portal? How many of you guys like migrated your CDPs? Because I was kind of scared to do it.
Yeah, me too.
You too. I heard Kenny Rowe in the last meeting was like he was like, yeah, I kind of architected the proxy contract myself when I was still scared. But yeah, I actually migrated. I took the stuff earlier today, just so I could play around with the UI and get a chance to give the product feedback guys, well, Jordan and the UI team, a bit of feedback. Which, by the way, if anybody's watching, you guys definitely should visit our Rocket Chat and go into the hashtag product feedback channel if you guys have any user experience UI feedback on the new portal, or even also the voting, the governance voting dashboard. Uh, our guys are always looking for feedback, so don't be shy. We encourage that. So for the partnership updates, we only have one partner that was announced this week. Surprise, surprise! It was a project called Medix Protocol, and Medix Protocol is actually really, really interesting. Oh, sorry, hold on. I'll post the link to the Medix portal protocol website. Basically, uh, they're a protocol. They're primarily like a registry for physicians, where the physician can like upload their like degrees and like put in all their credentials and all that stuff like that. Hold on, I need to mute my Rocket Chat because I'm being blown up right now. Okay, yeah. So Medix protocol is like a sort of an open source global healthcare market. So they're trying to be a registry. They're also trying to be like a uh, patient to physician payment solution. They're trying to do a lot, and they're trying to have other dApps launch on top of their protocol that are to do with the sort of medical world, the decentralized medical world. And it's really cool because, in the same way, like we believe in decentralized finance, they believe in sort of decentralized medical, the ability for decentralized sort of medical coverage. So in emerging markets, it'd be really cool to see what their project can sort of unlock in the face of maybe restrictive governments, or I don't know. I have no idea, but really cool project. Decentralized, right? But what they're gonna do is they're basically gonna be uh, doing three things. They're gonna be allowing uh, patients to basically pay physicians in Dai as well as Ether. So those are the two things that they're going to be accepting as payment. And since they're accepting Ether inside of their MedX wallet, they're going to be basically porting in or linking in Oasis .direct. So physicians who accept the payment in Ether can immediately escape that volatility and transfer it all into Dai immediately. So I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, and also they're going to be using our Oracle feed, our price feed for Ether, for quoting prices on their protocol. So if a physician like puts up a bunch of services, the physician will be able to quote it. Well, they'll put up the quote in DAI or in US dollars or whatever currency in the future that will be available to quote, but they'll have sort of a conversion and they'll be using our price feed for that. To
Y-
reach.
Yeah, true. Telemedicine is such a extremely big market. I've been working 10 years in pharmaceutical industry, so I kind of like I know a bit about the whole thing, and hopefully those guys have a cool product because I can see some major adoptions in, as you say, in emerging markets.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You were in the what field exactly were you in for 10 years? Like what were you doing?
Pharmaceutical industries, more precisely in clinical research.
Nice. Nice, man. I didn't know that about you, Ariana. Man of many hats.
Man of many hacks.
All right. So if anybody has any questions or any sort of yeah, any input on just the most recent announcements and partnerships, let me know. Uh kind of give you guys a second while I check out what's next on the agenda. Mariana, you had an idea for sort of the burning question of the week, right? Was that you?
Yes, it's me, the one in charge of that tricky question. I don't have like a question per se, but I do been wondering a lot this week, mostly because, well, at VidCon I assisted several talks about that. It's related to Ethereum scalability, right? And the thing is, and this is like a, well, burning question, right? What happens if Ethereum is not able to scale to, let's say, for example, 10,000 transactions per second, as we are seeing those research papers and, well, a lot of opinions on Twitter, right? I would like to know what are your thoughts about that, and what will happen to the actual dApps that are right now on the Ethereum network, right? I would love to hear your thought,
Mm, that's
David.
interesting. That's interesting. Well, I mean, I think for the Ethereum scaling thing is the most important thing because for transactions to occur like the way we want to with DAI, for like at least like retail transactions for the currency to actually be used by like regular people, there will have to be scaling. And if not, I mean, I know Maker and the team have been sort of loosely planning the ability to port over to other blockchains, and perhaps like in a year, 2 years, 5 years, there'll be more projects like Polkadot and
Cosmos.
yeah, there Cosmos, yeah, and other people that are sort of making reliable bridges between blockchains. So you never know that when if Ethereum never scales, it still might be a great sort of a base blockchain to host MakerDAO on, but then also sort of we could populate other blockchains somehow.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, when I'm talking about scalability, I'm talking about on-chain scalability, right? Because as you said, that probably we will see if on-chain scalability cannot achieve that number, or those numbers. I guess that we will see like a lot of side chains, right?
Yes,
Doing that job.
solutions, yeah, side chains. Also, you might see things like credit cards that might take like a balance in escrow and then just might use the Visa network on top of it. But obviously, that has its like regulatory challenges and stuff. I know projects like 10x definitely were struggling to get their stuff off the ground, at least in the U.S. But yeah, I mean, there's solutions to it, so I'm not really worried about the scalability problem, and I especially think that the way that our project is, I'm like excited that we're one of the one of the few dApps that actually have users and that actually isn't so limited by scalability because CDPs, you don't need to make a million transactions a day. You do a couple of transactions a month and you're able to have this sort of leveraged position. You're able to create DAI and to sort of use a decentralized loan. And I think it'll be the same thing when regular users can like use the savings rate, for example, the savings mode for DAI. And for those of you that don't know, the savings mode for DAI is something that's going to be a part of the multi-collateral DAI release, where there's going to be a smart contract that basically gives you a percentage yield. Similar, it's akin to a decentralized savings account. So you might get like anywhere from like 0.5% to like 2% interest, depending on what maker voters decide. But yeah, it'll be really cool to see uh, how scaling is going to affect the growth of our system. But I definitely think that if a scaling solution on the base layer comes, that's going to just bolster up all the other solutions. Because if you have a second layer solution on top of a really strong first layer, I mean, you could surpass Visa, you could surpass, all those things. You could have
True.
like I remember when I was like first getting into Bitcoin, I was obsessed with sort of the Andreas Antonopoulos's like view of streamable money. Like imagine getting into a car and like the sensor just feels like moment by moment and it
Yeah,
tracks.
like a continuous thing.
Yeah, it's like continuous. It's almost like streaming video on the internet. It's just a matter of scale. So I'm excited. I'm excited for like 20 years out in the future, 50 years out in the future. I'll be old. I'll be like 70 years old, 75 years old. But I'll be fascinated. I'll be so fascinated.
Yeah, gotta run. Okay.
That's a good burning question, though. That's definitely a good burning question. I heard a lot of people in our community ask that multiple times.
Yeah, yeah. Mostly because, well, I tend to 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 read Twitter a lot. I know that's a good or bad thing, and but I like to see like the, how do I say this, the like the other part of crypto that is not so much into Ethereum, right? And they are always bringing like this concern of scalabilities, on-chain governance, and that kind of things, right? That are things that are being researched right now. So uh, that is why I had that question to share with you guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else have burning questions? Let's definitely bring them on. What is that you're holding, Mariana?
Can you see it?
Yeah, I could see it. It's like a physical die, right?
Physical die. We've been giving this DevCon. People just love this thing, you know.
I want
Love.
one.
Yeah, they are really really cool. And we have the other one. Let me check. Give me a minute.
Go for it. Anyway,
We have this one too. I don't know what is best for you guys. This is smart
the other one.
translucid.
The other one's better.
We have these two options. I think I love this one more.
Yeah.
You too, Jess?
I like this.
Well, that one just doesn't have a QR code on the back.
Yeah,
so-
yeah. This is just an sterile one. Is this? Yeah, yeah. But I think I love more the round one.
The clear one.
But I have a whole box in my suitcase of all of them. It weighs quite a bit. I weighed it in the airport today because I had to take some weight out and figure out what I was going to carry on.
Yeah.
We have 2 grams of DAI tokens.
Yeah, those are cool. And you guys use those at the DAI DAPI hours, right?
Yes. We had like 1,400 for the Prague Blockchain Week, and we were closing up for the Crypto Life Status Hackathon with a DAPI hour on a pirate ship where we used couple. I think we had like 200 people on a small ship. It was really packed. And I think that's you, Mariana. Yeah.
Were they used at RaveCon as well, or RavCon? Or whatever?
Yes, and there was
RaveCon.
RaveCon, and there we had 1 hour of DAPI hour drinks, priced very well.
Yeah, it actually went pretty well, David, because people actually do want to use DAI when the option is a reduced price paid in DAI versus a normal price paid in like check money. So there was a line to use DAI at RaveCon, so that was solid.
Economic incentives work.
Somebody at the BizDev team better hear that.
And I think people are also like happy to get some experience with DAI, and like although it was a simplified way of using it, I think it was a really cool experience for people to actually get. in this
Sure.
fun setting.
Were people just using the physical tokens, or was there a way to like
There
use?
was, I didn't give any physical tokens out at RaveCon because those are basically free money, and like we don't need to give people free money at a rave, right? But yeah, what they did was they just had DAI on their phones, and like these are all people that are at DevCon already, so a number of them do actually have DAI in like a mobile wallet. And
What were the main wallets that you saw people using?
well, status is what
Status.
we told people to download in order to use the DAI tokens. But yeah, I'd say like a lot. There were a number of people that already had status or Trust Wallet.
And also, for instance, some of the hackathon winners, they got awarded in DAI. So we had one guy, Adrian, who was DEPI for 2 parties with his prize that he won. So he's been using it also to get some drinks at the DEPI hours.
Nice, that's proper. I like that. Very cool, very cool. So yeah, I don't know. On the agenda that I have is DaiPOS. So Aaron, are you here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hey, you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name's Aaron Anderson. I'm a dApp developer. I co-founded we started out as a Solidity shop. Now we're chain agnostic. We call ourselves Web3 devs. And I was at the Status Hackathon in Prague, where we built a point of sale solution for, or that used DAI. I'll go ahead and let you all take a look at it real quick. And also, I'll go ahead and link my local tunnel if anybody wants to play with the app locally. Okay, I'm in sharing mode, trying to bring it up. All right, let me pull this right here. If anybody wants to hit that, that's going to be up for the entirety of this presentation. So on the application, it will keep these little cards kind of like Snapchat does, and you can add new ones with this plus button right here. See if I can do it real quick. My computer may be running too much stuff at one time.
So you put in the item name, the picture data, the price, and the quantity of the item, right?
Correct. There we go. So, boom, glasses right there. And whenever you click on any of these, say you want to buy a cup, should pop up a QR code. That QR code has the transaction object, so you can scan it with any wallet that has a QR code scanner. Status worked just fine at the hackathon. So if you scan that, it will, the app will monitor that. Right now, it's not connecting on my side to MetaMask, but if I swap this screen around, I can show you what it's doing on my phone. So right there, I don't know if y'all can see it. It says 0.00 DAI. It's because I used all my DAI on the pirate ship, so I don't have any left in that account. But yeah, if it's got that, it's connecting to the Web3 provider, and whenever that purchase is made, it'll decrement the amount in your inventory, and you'll see your account balance go up as well, right there.
That's super cool. How long did it take you guys to create this?
So we started hacking at 9 p.m. on Friday and turned it in by noon on Sunday, and we were all able to get 8 hours of sleep each night. So it wasn't too code intensive. And what's really cool about it is it's all a static file, so anybody can host it anywhere on IPFS is a possibility. GitHub pages. Like I'm running it on local tunnel in this instance, if anybody's linked over to it and is playing with it locally. So yeah, I think the idea on that is to make it a white labeled project, or change it from a React app to a React native app. There's all sorts of possibilities you can do with it. Figure best use case scenario would be like flea markets, farmers markets, any place where there's ad hoc
Crypto
markets.
conferences.
Yeah, crypto conferences.
Actually,
hours.
yeah, DAPI hours, exactly. I was gonna
Yeah.
say you give the guy the bartender this app, and he could throw in some arbitrary number of drinks, like 1,000 margaritas or 1,000 shots of Jack, and anybody that wants some, just scan it in, and you don't even need a physical DAI token.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's really, really freaking cool. Good job, man. Good job.
Thank you,
And
sir.
actually, so we've done a couple of demos over the last few community meetings, and this is one of the most, this is one of the ones with like the most sort of concrete use case that I really like. It's sort of a face-to-face sort of crypto POS system. And for those of you that don't know what POS stands for, it's just point of sale. But yeah, it's really, really cool. I like it a lot. Good job, man. That's really
Thank you, sir.
solid.
Aaron,
If anybody has questions for Aaron about his project, feel free to ask.
yeah, I'm curious. Have you implemented this on XDAI or on DAI? Do you need ETH to
So
receive the transaction?
I'm not sure if this code that I have running has the XDAI implementation on there, but we did at the hackathon get the XDAI transaction to work. The only difference, I think, is your Web3 provider has to be switched over to that. I forget exactly converting to XDAI worked, but if you're trying to get paid in XDAI, the interface is the same and it works the same.
Cool. Thank you.
What are the next steps, guys, for you? Do you plan to continue to develop the application? Do you want to just release it as an open source and others hopefully hoping and contribute?
We're hoping to continue development as part of the, I think y'all call it the CCDG fund.
Cool. Cool.
And then open source it as well, and also make it something that folks can white label. If you want to white label it, and a profit model for that is the transaction can just shoot to a administrator or agent contract that would just pull like 0.5% for fees back to the developer that white labeled it.
Really cool.
I really hope you continue on the core community development initiative, because we really need a point of sale solution for that to increase the adoption. So
totally.
Yeah, that's totally the plan.
And we also, like, at our desk, we've been judging just maker specific hacks. So I have missed, meeting you and learning about your point of sale. Or maybe I wasn't around, so I was really happy to actually learn about it, because I heard about it, but I just wanted to see it. It looks super cool and easy.
Right on.
So if there's any more comments or questions, I'm gonna get to something I've been anticipating for the last couple weeks. So let me know. Anybody have any other comments, questions for Aaron?
I just have a question. Did we do like a summary of the events that Maker has gone through in the past week?
Prague. I guess not. Lenka, do you wanna run through that?
Okay, I would love to, and Jessica, feel free to jump in anytime you feel like. We had a great long couple of days. I think it was 10 days in Prague. It's been really awesome. It was filled with events that were overlapping all the time, so we've been really busy. We started on Friday, the 26th, with the Crypto Life Status Hackathon, where we had been mentoring and judging and exhibiting, and we ended up awarding 5 different maker-specific hacks. we were really surprised by how many have chosen to build some hacks with XDAI network, because POA network had also specific hacks. And then, of course, POS, thanks, Aaron. So it's been really, really great. Then we finished off the whole hackathon with a DaiPOS hour at a pirate ship on 28th.
Yeah, and by the way, Aaron's project wasn't only a winner of something that just Maker was giving a bounty for, it was a finalist for the overall hackathon. That's right.
The open track one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's super cool because that was a bit quite competitive, but the majority of the hacks were actually built using things having to do with Maker or Dai. So very fulfilling to see us a part of crypto life.
Oh yeah, and one more really cool and exciting thing. I don't know if you've seen the tweet from Saturday, the second day of hackathon. We managed to get General Bytes ATMs to integrate Dai. So actually, people at the venue could buy with their Czech crowns some Dai. So there was another entry ticket for DaiPOS hour as well.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, and at the Status Hackathon, we had Mariano Conti to give a keynote, a very inspiring one. It's been very tweaked to the topic of crypto life, and I think it also helped a lot of teams to get inspired by what could actually be relevant for the topic. He was speaking a lot about his experience from Argentina, and so I think that was really, really nice keynote to see. And also Mariano gave a workshop on oracles, and then we had Ethan to join and give a workshop on Dai.js. And did I miss anything? I think that's it for Status Hackathon. And on Monday we had a DeFi summit where we had Nick and Rune to join. What was it?
Yeah, that was actually great. Nick and Rune's talk on Dai using synthetic assets and all was one of the most well-attended talks actually at DeFi, besides then the emerging markets panel that our very own Mariano DP sat on.
Yeah, and then the guy Crypto News, he interviewed Nick also at one of these conferences, and Nick went into a little bit more about how the synthetic assets would work. And I definitely, the first time I listened to Rune's talk about it, I was like, whoa, it's like a little bit mind blown, but like I didn't really fully understand how it worked. But Nick in that interview definitely helped me understand a little bit more. So if anybody wants to understand more about what we mean by synthetic assets and how Maker would enable those, definitely check out the Crypto News interview with Nick. I could link it, but I'd have to find it first.
Awesome.
Yeah, we could probably even do a whole call dedicated to that discussion at some point in the future if the interview and the DeFi conversation isn't enough. But then besides that, we also got a chance to highlight all of the great work that Maker's done with oracles. So Mariano Conti had a chance to talk a bit more as well.
Yeah, that was awesome. Also, I want to make a point. I heard probably one of the best talks on Maker at DevCon 4 by our very own Andy. Yeah, by our very own Zandy, right? Andy Ronas did an awesome talk about the history of money and how Maker fits into it and how it's sort of the next step in the evolution of money. It was really freaking cool, filled with history. He just did a great job. So I'm gonna link it in the chat. And the chat, it's actually the entire, I think, first sort of track at DevCon, but I will add the timestamp also into the chat. It starts at 4:34:10. That's when this talk starts. But
yes,
yeah,
Thank you,
definitely worth noting that talk. I was blown away. That was good.
Yeah.
Yes. So at DevCon, the moment everyone was looking forward to was Andy's talk. We even closed the booth for that time, and we all went to watch it. We really enjoyed it. And besides Andy's keynote, we also had a really successful workshop with our formal verification team. So we had Lev, Everett, Daniel, and Martin to give a workshop, and it's been really full. Although it was kind of competing with Joe Lubin speaking on main stage, it was still very, very packed and very, very interactive. So it was really a pleasure to watch. And that's for DEF CON. And then we had one more event that was happening parallel with DEF CON. That was Blockchain for Good event with main organizer Alice, where Rune was giving a keynote about the For Good initiatives that Maker is part of. And he even donated 1,000 DAI for Alice, which is like a which is like a blockchain startup that brings transparency to the donation space.
Yeah, we actually met Alice at ETH Berlin, and we talked to them a bit more about how it'd be great if they use DAI in their platform. It's like Lenka was saying, a transparent sort of social impact platform. So what people do is they would choose to donate X amount of money, but before that money was actually released to whoever the charity was, the charity would first have to prove that they had accomplished a number of goals that would then say that once those goals are validated, that the funds could then be released to the social impact partner, which is super cool. So it brings a sort of sense of incentives to and an idea towards accomplishments. And it was awesome that they used DAI, and having Rune do the first transaction with DAI on that social impacts platform, I thought was a cool thing to have at DevCon.
And also we've been giving some of those tokens. So actually people, instead of buying drinks, they could just donate for a good cause. At the event, so they could also make a donation with the tokens they got. And this brings me back to the DEPI hour, where we actually gave all the proceeds to Ben, which is Blockchain Education Network. And those three guys, Satya, Melissa, and Eric, were really, really helpful to facilitate that all the transactions go in order, and just assist if there were any hurdles with paying for drinks. So they really earned it.
Speaking of all the social impact stuff, what's the status of Project Bifrost? Did they have any presence in Prague?
Yes, at the Blockchain for Good event, we had a couple people from Bifrost. We had Bobby Greenfield. Robbie Greenfield in the panel afterwards. Unfortunately, I had to run afterwards to deal with something else. But
yeah. Robbie's not necessarily just the head of Bifrost. He's works in general for consensus and social impact. So I think what he was talking about on the panel was maybe a bit more inclusive in general than just focusing on that project. But yeah, it would be great to actually bring some of the Dether guys maybe onto a call to see if
I would love to have them on.
adaptation into Project Bifrost.
Yeah, definitely a good idea, Jess. Definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, Prague was so lively. Wow, everything happened at Prague this year. Jeez.
Yes, and the night of and on the day when the Alice event was happening, in the night of that, there was a RaveCon where we had that DEPI hour moment. And on the 2nd of November, which was the last day of DevCon, we were hosting a party at the highest spot in Prague at the tower. And we had one specially branded Ledger Nano in the raffle. So that was also fun.
Yeah. And luckily a Maker fan won it. Well, I mean, they should though, because they're submitting their raffle to get to that. But yeah, they came to the party. But it's always good when you see someone that's really excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really, really awesome. Yeah, there was a huge inflow of people, both on like the new Telegram that we launched and on Rocket Chat, asking about Maker. So while you guys were in Prague, I was happily answering all their questions. It was good. Today was a pretty good week for networking and getting our name out there. So I'm very happy about that. So if that concludes all the current events, Me, Rich, and Scott Entrepreneur have been working on something that I'm gonna unveil today, and I'm actually gonna post it first in the Rocket chat, and then I'm gonna post it in the chat here, and it's a brand new repo that's hosted by us at MakerDAO, and it is a collection of resources for anybody interested in exploring MakerDAO. It's everything from official documentation to beginner guides, analysis pieces, tools, even hit pieces on us. Everything, literally just everything. AMAs, podcasts, third-party apps, spend your DAI, hold your DAI, everything. Everything is there, and I will be maintaining it. Rich will be maintaining it, and I think Scott is also going to be helping maintain it. So it's sort of meant to be a hub that you can point anyone to, and it's just a ton of resources. So definitely check it out, and definitely feel free to share it with people that are trying to get more familiar with our project. But yeah, so excited. Woo!
Yeah, guys, really cool shop. I spent almost entire day browsing that page, and
Oh,
it's
you had the
really,
pre-release.
yeah. I love it. I really love it, and thank you very much for your work, you and Scott and Rich.
This looks really exciting. I'm so happy for some FAQ to be out there and something to be updated.
Yeah,
people are really asking a lot of those questions you are answering here already. That's really cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
David found all the really hidden resources, so it was a great job of him pulling together all the crazy podcasts and videos and everything that's been out there and hidden around the web.
Oh, and as a sort of homage to Scott, the name Awesome Maker DAO is actually a sort of a spin-off on his original repository, which is where we got the idea from, and where we actually took the original structure from. And his original repository was called Awesome DAI. So
Thank you, guys.
yeah, we're really excited to put this out there. All right, if anybody has any like questions, we got about 15 minutes left in the hour, but definitely. Oh, if anybody has stuff to add that's not in that repository, ping me or ping Scott or ping Rich, but ping me because I could do the commit, so I could just add it directly to the repository. So definitely shoot me over any resources that come up. I'd be happy to add them on.
Just a thought, do you want to give us like very high level overview of what we can see there? Maybe share your screen?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, that's a great idea. Sure. Give me just a second. I will share this window. There's about to be some inception going on. Okay. All right. Do you guys see my screen? Actually, hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me
You
just
can see it.
be organized a little bit. All right. 1 sec. All right. Here it is. All right. You guys see it now, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is the repo. It's an overview of DAI. There's a little sort of description of what MakerDAO is. Also, a Unicode symbol for any of you that like to copy paste and use DAI instead of a dollar sign. But basically, the first thing is main links. We have the MakerDAO website, white paper, the CDP portal, the little dashboard, all the goodies. We have the communication channels up top, and then right after that, we pretty much go into media. So we have all the beginner guides for MakerDAO, and this is both by like websites and also by individuals. So anytime somebody came out with one, we definitely gave them credit just by writing their name on the side and giving them some recognition. There's some tutorials for some technical stuff. There's facts. These facts are going to be expanded on in the coming month or two. Now that Rich has some help in the form of me, we're going to be sort of pulling together a lot more sort of effort into the facts, and we're going to be publishing those eventually, and hopefully sooner rather than later. But we have some in-depth analysis, some lighter stuff, and then some heavier stuff. We have Grilling Die, which is basically a couple posts by our competitors, and a couple posts by some redditors, an article here and there. And if anybody has any other sort of criticisms of MakerDAO, I'd love to put them on here. And so the reason why we are hosting criticisms of us is because we want to sort of give people the full picture and the full ability to judge our project by its merits. So I completely disagree with almost every single one of these, but for not for any bad reason. There's very obvious sort of things wrong with certain of them, and some of them have some credibility. But I'll leave that to the people that are doing their own research on our project to decide. And so, if anybody has any good sort of credible, semi-credible hit pieces on us, send them my way. I'll be glad to host them. So we have the governance stuff. Recently, we put out the audio on SoundCloud, which is really great if you're into listening to podcasts. The governance and risk meetings are every Thursday, and they're at around the same time as the community meetings. So if you guys are around, definitely check those out. Major milestones, AMAs, partnerships. As you can see, we have a ton. We have podcasts. I'm sure I'm still missing a few. We have videos by and with MakerDAO team members, and then also by others with the heart, because we want to incentivize our community to do more content creation, do more videos, do more little animated shorts. Definitely contribute. We are very excited with our new core community development initiative to sort of incentivize our community to do that, and I'm really excited along with Rich to put out a sort of framework for what that's going to look like in the coming weeks or months. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But yeah, we love you guys that are contributing, that are part of the community. So definitely feel free to continue to contribute. So we have the MakerDAO mentions. These are things that just sort of didn't fit into any category, but were still interesting. So I threw them in here. And then we have, after the media section, we have a section called Playing with DAI. So we have third-party apps here, things like Easy CDP, CDP Alert. I think I'm surprised actually that Compound Finance is not on here. I gotta add it on there. But there's a bunch of stuff here. There's some tools and statistics, Twitter bots, Maker.tools, of course, a CDP simulator, some stablecoin comparisons, tools and statistics. And then we have just how to hold your DAI, so links to a bunch of ERC20 Ethereum wallets that you could use, and all categorized. We have places to trade your DAI, so these are all like the major DAI markets and also maker markets, but I think we mostly just focused on DAI. And also, if we're missing any, you could always just click here, and you will be taken to CMC, to CoinMarketCap, and you'll have a sort of more up-to-date list of the markets that you could trade on. You also have Spend Your DAI. I really look forward to this expanding because I love retail use cases. I love seeing people being able to spend their DAI. So anybody listening that wants to create some places I could spend my DAI, please link them to me. I will share them, and I will be really excited to check them out. We have some merchant solutions here. Also excited for these to grow. Actually, the DaiPOS might end up over here pretty soon. We have some on-off ramps, and by some I mean one. And then after that, we have the developer resources. Everything from the technical info, purple paper. We have a pretty MakerDAO sort of architecture thingy. We have APIs, library and tools, source codes, audit contracts. All the audit contracts are here. I think I might need to update them, but I'm pretty sure that these are all correct. We have all the contracts for DAI v1 and then DAI v2, which is multi-collateral DAI on Kovan. We have the governance contract, pretty much everything. And then the very last section is stablecoins in general. And stablecoins in general is just anything that has to do with stablecoins, not particularly MakerDAO or DAI. So also something to note is whenever there is whenever a link or a record, I guess, is prefixed by a date, it's all in date order. So the oldest or non-dated, because this one didn't have a date, ones are at the bottom, so you could see it goes from 2017 all the way up to 2018 current date. But yeah, and this kind of is the same for pretty much everywhere that is prefixed by a date. It's all the earliest, sort of the most recent stuff is at the top. And then finally, we have tools, trackers, and other analytics for just stablecoins in general. And then we have a very, very subpar list of other stablecoin projects because I know there's like a ton more, but I did not have the time or the patience to go and make a huge list of them. As I come across them, I'll continue adding them. But if anybody has any that they're interested in that think are pretty cool, send them my way. I'll definitely add it in. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a one-stop shop for a bunch of resources, and I was really excited to put this out because I've been looking for something like this forever, and I'm really happy that we're able to host it.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks.
Impressive.
Yeah, guys. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Send it to your mom. But yeah, so we're coming up on we're about 6 minutes to the hour. If anybody has any, I'd love to just open it up to whoever's in the call. You guys could talk about whatever, ask any questions. We can expand on the burning question if you want, or come up with a new one. But yeah, we got a few minutes here. All right, I think somebody's writing something in the chat. Jess, you want to read that out or tell me?
Yeah, definitely. Mariano, this might be a good question for you. But yeah, so Diego, is there anything written in other languages Spanish community may need resources? So the white paper should be translated into Spanish, which would be available on the website. But all of these other resources, we should indeed do some translations. We can actually send it over to the company that we've been utilizing to do our white paper and website translations as well. So.
I would love to. At least in my eyes, that would be really, really cool. Mostly because, for example, not just for the people that is already somehow involved in our region, but also to share with press, to share with media companies. That's a really cool thing to have.
Yes, actually, I was thinking if Mariano and David, could we have like a section in Spanish in the GitHub document, because it will be awesome to have like a compilation of all things that we are going to translate over there, so everyone in the Spanish community can use the documents.
Yeah, it's true. We have to point out also that we have our Spanish blogs at Medium. We can put that into the awesome MakerDAO.
Something worth considering though is in Awesome MakerDAO, a lot of stuff is not stuff that's written directly by Maker, or like it's a lot of just our community's sort of input and projects and talks. So there's a lot of stuff that to get it in Spanish. I mean, you could probably translate the titles in the GitHub itself into Spanish, but the content in the link, you will not be able to sort of get in Spanish unless you want to like get it into a Word doc and sort of manually translate it. So I don't know how you guys might want to do that, but yeah, I don't know. Just
it's a good idea about translation in general, and we can definitely put together a whole list of resources, and we should look at languages just beyond Spanish. I mean, I'm sure Portuguese would be another good one, and then the Eastern Asian languages for sure.
What you guys for sure is that you have the Spanish blog that I'm traducing right now from Medium. That is one of the sources that we could add to the GitHub. And well, the other ones are that, as Nadia says, probably all the projects in South America that we are working on. Will be really cool to have those things there.
Yes, also what you say, David, is I mean, not to translate every title, just to put in the GitHub document all the translated documents. For example, if we're going to translate the white paper into Spanish and Portuguese, put it over there so you can see all the Spanish or Portuguese or any other language available content that we have. Yes, it doesn't have to be all the content that you have in GitHub, in the GitHub compilation. Just like a couple of material will be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So maybe have like a Spanish section separately for like things that are natively in Spanish, and then for maybe the white paper and all the sort of keystone documents, you could have it sort of linked to Spanish, Portuguese, Japanese. Have sort of a link to each version,
Exactly.
right?
Will be
I
awesome.
like that. I think as those translations come out, I will add it in exactly that way. I like that.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, so I think we're pretty much perfect on time. There's about a minute left in the meeting. Awesome. Well, I thank you guys for coming. This was an awesome meeting. We definitely got through a lot, and this was a very eventful week for MakerDAO. And yeah, if anybody has anything, ping me. And I look forward to seeing you guys at the next meeting.
Cool.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Have a nice day, everyone.
Bye, everyone.